All right, welcome to another podcast by Bonnie Mae. I'm your host, Bonnie Mae. Today's episode is gonna just get a couple of things off of our chest, kind of improv, and talk to you a little bit about current events, love. You got it. We'll just talk about it and see how you guys feel about it. All right, let's get into it. So, I guess this is my first episode, everybody, so I'm super excited about it. Today, I'm just going to focus on basically letting you guys know why I started this podcast. I have been thinking that I wanted to start this podcast a long time ago, and I just didn't have the time to do it, and I found the time, and I said, hey, this is exactly what I want to do. I guess I got stuff to say, and hopefully people enjoy hearing me and watching me talk about my podcast. Well, let's get into it. I started this podcast because I needed just basically an outlet. I needed an outlet to talk shit, an outlet to get things off my chest, and just basically continue to be the best version of me. Many of you guys know me. I'm an entrepreneur, triple businesses, and I got a lot going on for myself. This podcast means kind of a lot to me. Back, I guess, last year, 2023 in August, I had a near-death life situation. I had a real big surgery, and I went to the operation room, and I was just basically like, damn, like, what if I didn't make it, right? What would my legacy be? And oftentimes we get into this situation where we forget to leave certain things behind. So I decided to be kind of a living legend, right? I was like, if I get through this surgery, I'm definitely going to turn up and turn out, and nothing's going to pretty much stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do. So I'll take you guys back, I guess, to 2014. 2014, Bonnie was like modeling out and about, having a great time, dating, loving, being loved on, and giving love to. And I found out that I had fibroid tumors. And my mom had them. She had a partial hysterectomy. And, I had several things that happened with these fibroids that just changed my entire way of living. I was at the height of my career back then. I was modeling all through Chicago, going out of town and doing different things. And I had a boyfriend at the time that was supportive. Back then I was having a lot of panic attacks, dealing with emotional burdens and heavy periods, you name it. I was dealing with it, right? And this particular time where it hit the fan, I'll never forget. I was working and I was playing hooky because him and I wanted to go out. Long story short, I actually passed out at work. I never forget, like, I passed out at work. I thought it was nothing. Found out that they were trying to decide if I had a simple seizure or a simple stroke, because the right side of my body, I couldn't move. Eventually I got out of it. They found out that I had fibroid tumors. They were just basically saying, like, they're not cancerous. A lot of women of color go through this, different things of that nature. And my mom went through it, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward, it's time for me to have surgery. I changed basically my jobs at the time, and when I changed my jobs at the time, I didn't have insurance, so I basically had to go through a different insurance and different things of that nature in order for me to get the surgery done. The guy I dated at the time, he was like, I'm not paying for this surgery, this and this. I'll never forget, I overheard him talking to his fucked up ass brother at the time, and he said that shit, not knowing that it was like super serious and it was like life and death type shit, that if I didn't get the surgery, I could have died probably several months later. And the reason being, a lot of women go through fibroid tumors and different things of that nature, but sometimes they can be detrimental to women, you know. Long story short, I have the surgery, and my doctor at the time, she's an AKA, I'm an AKA, and she basically told me, like, damn, Bonnie, it's gonna be probably 30 minutes. I was crying. This was my first major surgery. I had never even been under the fucking knife before. So I'm freaking out. And she's like, girl, it's gonna be 30 minutes. I will heals to this surgery. Don't cry, don't do this. And when you go through surgery, for many of you who have never been under the knife, they ask you all types of questions. You know, you gotta have your power of attorney, which was my mom at the time. She signed off. You have to, you know, basically sign off on paperwork, like saying, like, if she bleeds to death, do you want us to save her? Absolutely. Different things of that nature. So going through this process, I had been dealing with heavy periods. At the time, I had no idea having a period for 14 days, meaning bleeding for half the month. Had no idea that it was that detrimental. You know, I had became anemic. Like I said, I had fell out from work, and looking back at it, I think I fell out from work because my blood was so low. My iron was low. I was pale, I was skinny, I wasn't gaining weight. If many of you guys remember me back then, I was skinny mini Bonnie, you know. And it was crazy because being rolled back to the back of the surgery operating room, I just remember thinking about my mom. And me and my mom, we grew very close over the years. And I just was thinking, like, man, like, I saw the look in her eyes. She was scared, you know, she seen fear. She's like, my baby she want kids one day. So hopefully, please don't take her uterus and different things of that nature. But we signed the paperwork saying that if it comes down to it, take it to save my life. So going through the surgery, 2 hours, you know, well, it was first 30 minutes. She said it should be done about 30 minutes, no more than 45. She will heals. 45 minutes passed. I'm still under. My sister, my former boyfriend, and my mom was all in the back, and they were like, damn, they still ain't came back. So my sister checked in. They didn't say anything. 45 minutes turned to an hour, of course. An hour turned into 2 hours. 2 hours turned into 3. 3 turned to 4. 4 turned into 6 in recovery. And it was supposed to be 30 minutes. Well, what happened was it was a complication with my surgery. They went in, and of course, you know, when you have ultrasounds, MRIs, those are just images. They don't know what the fuck is going on until they cut you open. So she told me I was supposed to have a small baby cut. I come to find out I have a bikini line cut, and it looks like I had a C-section with no kids. And long story short, when I had the surgery and I woke up, I just remember a small dream. Like, I had a dream like that I had a son during that time, and I woke up telling my former boyfriend, like, yeah, we're gonna have a son. I'm about to get this baby, this and this. And he just had a look of like sincerely scared and sorrow. And he was like, no, we're gonna go backpack traveling. Let's go travel the world and different things of that nature. And I'm like, hell no, fuck that. Let's get pregnant. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm excited. Let's fucking just figure this shit out. I just went through this surgery and I can't feel my fucking legs. What the fuck is going on? Did I have to get blood transfusions? Because prior to everything going on, I had received maybe 7 or 8 blood transfusions that year alone. That's how low my blood was. That's what I was going through. And I was still like trying to push. He's like, nah, B, you went through a traumatic surgery and they found more fibroids than what she said. She told me it was only 1, found out it was 4. And when she went in, she seen my uterus had multiple. The reason why it took so long was one of the fibroid tumors was actually wrapped around my bowel. So I was having a lot of, bathroom issues and shit. Like, I would stay constipated, or it would take me a long time to use the bathroom. And it was because the fibroid had attached to my bowel and it was squeezing it. And if she wouldn't have removed it when she removed it, it would have squeezed it to the point that it erupt and I would have passed away. Another fibroid that they found was wrapped around my appendix. She's like, no, I'm not going to take your appendix. I feel like every organ in your body has a reason and a rhyme. So she basically was like, no, I didn't take your appendix. Long story short, I had fibroids and that was my first major surgery. Basically, after I had those fibroids and shit, I had them removed. I became a different person. He said, my boyfriend at the time, he said that shit, you turned into a nicer person. I said, shit, I'm not bleeding half of the fucking month. Just imagine being a woman bleeding fucking 14 days out of the 30 in a month. You will be pissed the fuck off. You will not be okay. And you're going through a million fucking pads because you don't want to soil your clothes out in public. It's horrible. And it changed my life. So going forward, when I got him removed and everything, him and I eventually broke up. That's another story. I'll talk about that shit on another episode. But him and I eventually broke up. I had surgery. I had this big ass cut. I couldn't walk. Damn me peeing on myself pretty much every time I had to go to the bathroom because I couldn't run and I couldn't feel it. They cut me in the core and all of a sudden I started gaining weight. So skinny mini Bonnie became medium sized Bonnie. Part of the reason why is because the fibroids and different things of that nature was stopping me from eating as much. And now I'm hungry, so I'm having a good time gaining happy weight. And I had decided to start different businesses. Fast forward to 2023 of last year. I started to have these complications again. And as I was having these complications again, I discovered that I had a polyp. I had some cysts growing down there. I had more fibroids. And of course, I want to have kids. So guess what happened? Another surgery. This time, the doctor at the time basically told me, well, we're not going to do another myomectomy because for the simple fact, if we did that, guess what? You wouldn't be able to carry a kid successfully. We want to take your tubes though, because your tubes are blocked. And if we don't, it's, it's infection sitting in there, They really don't fucking know. These doctors do not know. Everything that they do is a fucking test. It's like you're a science project and they're trying to figure out how they can solve your problem for the next person. So if you decide to go through the surgeries and you do their opinion, always have a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth opinion before you decide to let them cut a fucking organ out of you. So I went with another doctor. She went in, she saw things of that nature. She told me my uterus is healthy, told me that I can have kids, and basically was like, I'm going to remove and shave down the fibroids in your uterus in order for you to basically not have these heavy periods. We don't know what's going to happen after we do this. You can be healing for 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, a year, but you can't have kids through IVF and it won't be natural. That's funny because I went to another holistic doctor and she said, absolutely not. We can basically cure you from the inside out. And this is the things that you need to do. Well, this particular surgery had a higher rate because I had been cut before. She was nervous about it. She was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I'm going off of somebody else, blah, 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 blah. And she ended up going in and telling me it's a high risk that we may cut you and the blood supply may not be what we need it to be and different things of that nature. Well, I'm here and I woke the fuck up after my surgery. So I was cool about that. But going through this time, I said, you know what? I'm going to start my podcast. I'm going to do the things that I never thought I would, and I'm gonna fucking live my life to the fullest. It's August. I'll be set down for a little bit. I had just went through a major breakup with my ex-fiance, different things of that nature, and I was like, fuck this shit, I gotta do it. So I decided to do this podcast, and here I am. I wanted to start this podcast to talk about different things that we don't necessarily talk about female body. What the fuck? Back in 2014, I'm 20 plus years old and I'm not knowing that my period is irregular. Mind you, I'm going to see doctors. I'm telling them when my first period started, when it ended, because of course women, you know that's what the fuck they do. I'm doing all of these things and checking the boxes and nobody came to say, hold up, wait a minute. Your fucking period is too long. You're having hormonal problems. For one moment, I love you. Next moment, I fucking hate you. I'm having all these issues at work and different things of that nature, and not knowing the main cause of it is fucking PMS and fibroid tumors. Mind you, my fibroid tumors the first time around was the size of fucking jumbo shrimp. They were size of small mandarin oranges. I hope I'm saying that right, but they was a small, that's how big they were. It's like this big all over my uterus, and I got that shit removed. However, this time around, I said, you know what, fuck it. Anything can happen. We got one time to die and a lifetime to live. And I want to make sure that I'm doing what I think my purpose is. So I decided to do a couple of things. I decided to really focus in on my multiple businesses that I have. And let me be honest, this shit is hard to do. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. It is not for the fake hearted. It is not for, people who don't believe in themselves, but you cannot have fear. You cannot have faith and think you're going to be walking with fear. You got to pick your poison. So I said, I'm going to walk with faith. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And whoever doesn't mean me well, I'm going to get rid of them. Starting with my previous ex, it's kind of funny, he knew about my fibroids. He knew about certain things. And this is my ex-fiance. I am not going to say his name because that nigga be trying to sue people. But I'll never forget when him and I first met. It was a situation where we both was in a dark room looking for light. And I guess we found it within each other. And we had this explosive, amazing, passionate relationship in the beginning that lasted all of 3 weeks. And then shit got real, it got real quick, we both thought that we wanted to marry each other, and I think that I needed him and he needed me just as much, and the shit just happened the way it needed to happen. He was a great person, and I ain't got no bad shit to say about him. He's a great person within his own regards. I think everybody has that situation where you're good with someone until the shit hit the fan. It's easy to walk away. It's hard as fuck to make it last. Long story short, when we met, I told him about my fibroids. I told him some shit that happened to me that I don't trust nobody. I'm just trying to figure this shit out. I'm in a dark room. I'm just looking for the light. And at the time, I thought he was the light. It's kind of funny because the shit he was looking for at the time was the shit I was looking for at the time in the person. And I guess we needed each other for that moment. And I think we came in contact with each other because in that moment we were both broken. And y'all know how that shit goes. You both broken, you find a motherfucker that's just as broken as you. Y'all get together, try to fix each other, and y'all break each other even more. This shit is crazy. And I would say, at the time, he was very protective. He was very, he was loving. He was everything that I needed. And long story short, this nigga caught a case. I'll never forget. I was at my best friend's in Mexico. I was in Mexico, and I begged him to come. Whole time his ass had a warrant, and that's the reason why he didn't want to come. But he didn't tell me that. But also too, his ass was fucking cheating. So long story short, his ass caught a case, and I thought I was gonna be a ride or die. Nope. I am not that type of person. I realized that. Fuck that. From the bottom of my heart, I can hold you up. A bitch is not holding you down no more, because guess what? At the end of the day, it was like that shit tore me the fuck apart. To see him going through the things that he was going through, to see how it affected our trajectory of our relationship. Had he not caught that case, we probably wouldn't have lasted as long as we did, because honestly, I can tell we are both passionate, but we love different things and we love on a different spectrum. And for him, when he caught that fucking case, we had just got engaged. Whole time his ass was lying. He was on house arrest. I had never seen no shit like this before. That nigga was like Tom Hanks. No, or Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, not Tom Hanks. What the fuck am I talking about? Tom Cruise. As on house arrest. And I was so successful in my own regards, and I had fell in love with him so quick. I wanted to be there for him. I felt like I had situations where I wasn't there for other people, family members, friends, shit. I wasn't there for other people when they caught cases, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this to somebody I love. I'm gonna ride it out. And I wasn't the best version of myself with him. I was still broken from years of scars that nobody seen. And I was holding him to a standard of what he could be and not who he was at the time. And he was going through a transition as well. Unbeknownst to me, I had no idea he had been through so much that he had been through. And over time, he had expressed that to me. And I realized that I could not be that person for him. But he could not be my person for me either. And long story short, we continued to go on this path of he needed me, I needed him, but we stopped wanting each other. You know, emotional roller coasters with women who going through PMS, fibroids, tumors, and different things of that nature is a different roller coaster. You have to understand the psyche behind that shit. Some days I'm up, some days I'm down. For the most part, I'm down because I ain't got that much blood. I want to sleep for the whole day. I'm working from home, all types of shit. And that shit, work, life, love, life balance, working from home is dreadful. That shit hurts. You feel me? And when he caught the case, I just wanted to love on him, and I wanted my family to accept him. I wanted everybody to hunky-dory. We had plans to move away, all types of shit. Caught the case. Shit went real. Found out he cheated. The bitch fucking went through his shit when he left her crib. And called me like, do you know this person? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's my ex-fiance. What the fuck? Who the fuck are you? I thought that nigga was sick, hurt, in jail or something. Whole time. The bitch, he had moved back in with his ex-girlfriend, who was technically the girl he was dating before me. Long story short, that shit didn't work out. We separated. And once we separated, I think that's when the shit really hit the fan. A lot of people don't know, me and him had been separated for almost a year, and it wasn't public. So it was kind of like I was on my Lori Harvey shit, and people started to kind of like, damn, you ain't engaged no, where he at? What the fuck is going on? It's crazy because me and him argued for a whole year, and we never had that closure of being just cool and friends, because at one point in time, that was my buddy. That was my dog. Like, we talked about shit that and shared shit that I don't think he ever shared with anybody else. And I know I ain't never shared with anybody else, and I probably never would. So he's probably gonna die with my secrets. But long story short, shit just happened. He fell out of love with me. I fell out of love with him, and we moved on. And I feel like a lot of that had to do with my emotional roller coaster, but also it had a lot to do with me trying to hold a nigga down that I never did before. I never had that situation happen to me before. What the fuck? Somebody get locked up, I bailed them out, and they on house arrest at my crib? Oh no, I am not the ride or die bitch at all. I can hold you up. A bitch can't hold you down. Okay? And I realized that, and I think he realized that, and I appreciate the fact that we ended the way we ended. Yeah, it was tragic. Like, the shit hit the fan, and I might bring it up on some other episodes because low-key I was hurt. But we ended that shit, and we never looked back. And like, I hadn't seen him in a whole year. He ain't seen me, which is good. You feel me? He good money in my book, you know, even though we ended on bad terms. But at the end of the day, I'm happy that that shit happened to me because it taught me how to love. Okay. It really taught me how to see people for who they are and not who they could be, and oftentimes as women and as men, we fucking sit up there and try to put some lipstick on a pig. Okay. We try to dress it up. We try to make it seem like this person is the best thing in the world, and they're not the best thing in the world for you. Not necessarily they're terrible fucking people, because there's a lot of terrible ass people walking out here, but it's the fact that you try to dress them up for your own liking, and you're living in a fucking fantasy. And I'm sure he did the same thing for me, because if you ask him or you talk to him about it, he probably say I'm the fucking worst person in the world. However, in my mind, I'm just not the best person for you. Same thing, vice versa. I ain't got shit bad to say about him. Like, he may not know that because we went back and forth. I ain't played no fucking games. I wasn't holding him back. And he definitely wasn't. He was fucking the Joker and I was Harley Quinn. That's just how we was. That was our dynamic. We were the perfect couple at the time. And when we broke off, I think that we held on so long to the fact of what could be that we destroy what is. And oftentimes we do that. We sit back and we look at the future and be like, damn, that man or that woman will be the perfect wife in the future. But you're not paying attention to that motherfucker right now. And I'm not perfect. I'm emotional. I'm a woman. I like my shit to be the way it is. I am open about my shit. And when I'm wrong, I apologize. However, you can't mistreat me. And oftentimes we do that to people. We hold them to this fucking standard, thinking that they are going to be our Adam to our Eve, our holy grail, our everything. And we're barking up the wrong tree. So with me and him, I never forget, I prayed. I prayed to God. I said, God, if he ain't for me, can you remove him? Because this nigga get on my fucking nerve. When I tell you the next day, God was like, all right, yo, you want it? I'm removing him. He's out of here. And I never forget him calling his friend, and he had to do a whole bunch of shit, and it wasn't right. And I publicly want to apologize for that period of time, because it could have went a different way between us. And I could have handled it differently, but he could have fucking handled it differently too. So, eye for eye, motherfucker. So, I just wish that things would have, ended on a better term, because it's life. We should not go around hating each other. And I don't hate him, and I'm sure he doesn't hate me. I think he's a great person for someone else. I do, I think he's going to be a great man for someone else, just not for me. Okay. But back to what I was saying about like us basically, painting our partners to be more than what the fuck they are. And it's like, hell no, fuck that. If that person don't serve you, get the fuck away from them. We're too old to be around people, places, and things that don't serve us. Like with that last situation, I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I had his friends, family, my friends, my family. They were just like, y'all are toxic. Leave each other alone. Be friends. Grow that way. I was like, no, I want him. It was like a kid in a fucking candy shop. But I was trying to prove something that didn't needed to be proven. And that was my happiness. I forgo my happiness for lust, right? We definitely should not have been together. It just didn't work. Shit. Prime example, he from out west, I'm not from out south. That shit don't work anyway. I bag that up because my dad is from out west and my mom is from out south, and they've been married fucking 24 years and been together almost 25. So yeah, let me not say that. That's a little inside joke. If you're from Chicago, you know what I mean. But yeah, we oftentimes paint this picture, and we oftentimes basically try to pretend that these people that we pick, we need to stay with. No, you don't. People oftentimes have kids, they be in marriages that don't serve them. And I think that last situation taught me so much of not being served, not actually basically settling for what's for now. No, know your worth, know that you deserve better. And I'm not saying he was worse. I just think he's better for someone else. And I think my person came along later, and the person that came along for me, it was 20 years in the game. Him and I have been knowing each other 20 plus years. And I do think that my past has tripled over, dripped through the cracks of now my present. And I think that we have to come to terms to become the person that you want to date. Okay, or the person you want to end up with. I was talking to one of my homegirls about this shit like maybe a few weeks ago, and she was talking about she wanted to go to Dubai, get a Gucci bag, have red bottoms, do all these different things, right? I looked at her feet. Bitch, you got what's those black and white Nikes on? You got those on. You ain't buy, red bottoms for you. And if you know me, I'm gonna talk shit about everybody. I don't give a fuck. But she ain't got red bottoms on. She ain't got no Gucci bag. She ain't got a fucking Rolex. You win Fossil or whatever the fuck they be selling these days. And it's like, you want someone to check off all these boxes. Like, he got to have this amount. He got to make this amount 6 figures. He has to, not have kids. He has to have a house, a car, and all this. And you don't have it. So it's like, you cannot live outside your means until you become the person that you want to date. And that's just something that I had to work on, and something that I am working on. Stop trying to basically put lipstick on a pig and say, hey, this is my mate. It don't work that way. And when my ex, I definitely was like I saw the potential in him, and I saw what he could be. I don't think he saw what he could be. I don't think he knew the power he had and to being the man that I wanted him to be, but that's not the man he is. So I can't control the thought process of a man that don't have what I need in order for me to be the, safe and secure, and oftentimes that's what we do. We pick partners that we think we can make up. In life, we have to decide what you want, how you want it, and how it's going to serve you. If you find that it's not serving you, get rid of it. And that's family, friends, jobs, shit, your surroundings, your house, your car, whatever it is. If it's not serving you, let that shit go. And if not, you're going to end up in an even darker hole. Like I told y'all, when we first met, I was in a dark place. I was in a dark room, not a dark place, a dark room. I was just trying to find a light. And when I met him, I only saw light. And I thought that was the light that I needed. And it wasn't, it just wasn't. I ended up out of money, out of time, and out of energy. And I was tired. And I'm sure he ended up with the same thing. Long story short, it's like I continue to deal with him month after month, day after day. And I kept pulling him back, tell him, come back. I love you. I know whole time all I had to go outside and shit, I'm still popping. You feel me? I'm still her. I'm still beautiful. I'm still loving. I'm still caring. And all those things that was ripped apart from me during that time, I had to re-find it. I had to redate myself. I started to actually redate myself after that last situation. Like, me and him had been done for about a year or so, and I re-found myself. I found how sexy I was, how curvy I was. I found like certain things that I love, my lips, and I love how my eyes slant and my cheeks and how my ass sit up in certain jeans. I started to really engage in loving on Bonnie. And you have to, when you go through a bad breakup, and a public bad breakup that nobody knows about, and it's all in your fucking head, you gotta reprogram yourself to know that you're that bitch. And that's what I had to do. So I reprogrammed myself. I got on my I got on my Bonnie shit. I rebranded my wine, which I have now. And just let y'all know, Bonnie Mae Wine. Follow it on Instagram and different things of that nature. Rebranding my wine, rebranded my cosmetic line, got on my credit shit. I just blew up. Long story short, when I started to redate myself and fall in love with myself and started to understand about my intimacy, about how I like to just be me, it was crazy. And so I had to fall in love with myself. And when I fell in love with myself, I started to realize what I wanted and how I wanted to be loved. And I guess when I started to realize how much I love Bonnie, I started to date myself again. And after I started dating myself, I just started to realize I got to put me first. So on my next episode, I'm definitely going to talk about repurpose and re-loving myself and how I put myself first and how I fell in love with myself. So I'm going to wrap it up. I think that was enough for my first episode, and thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoy. Can y'all share, like, and subscribe? And let me know what y'all think in my comments. All right. Thank you to another podcast by Bonnie Mae.